One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
The real truth?
Yeah.
I feel like a foreigner in my own country lots of times, and I don't like it. It makes my heart real heavy. And I just hope we can pull out of this. There's too much Hollywood going on in Washington all the time. The important subjects they don't cover. So the thing is, I hope all the guys will rally up and we'll go back and straighten it all out.
And I'll tell you, it's pouring now, of course, as it happens. You look back toward the land from the beach and you realize there's nothing there but German guns. And these men were willing to charge toward the guns with almost no chance of success, especially in those first waves, and they did it for us. So we just finished a ceremony here at the Arlington Cemetery where over 9,000 Americans are buried. And there were about 25 World War II vets still there, still here. And I had a chance to meet every single one of them after the ceremony. And they all said we'd do it again. We did it for freedom. We did it for our brothers. We did it for our hometown, for those that we loved, and for those that are still here in the cemetery. So it's just a reminder, 81 years later, guys. And the contrast of those 100-year-old World War II vets and then those 25-year-old Army Rangers that I did a workout with this morning, like that kind of, the blood of fighting for freedom still pumps in the veins of Americans, and we still raise those types. And that's what was really cool to see here today and have a chance to honor them.
From across the earth, Americans are drawn to this place as though it were a part of our very soul. We come not only because of what they did here, we come because of who they were. They were young men with their entire lives before them. They were husbands who said goodbye to their young brides and took their duty as their fate. They were fathers who would never meet their infant sons and daughters because they had a job to do. And with God as their witness, they were going to get it done. They came wave after wave without question, without hesitation, and without complaint. More powerful than the strength of American arms was the strength of American hearts. These men ran through the fires of hell, moved by a force no weapon could destroy. The fierce patriotism of a free, proud, and sovereign people. They battled not for control and domination, but for liberty, democracy, and self-rule. They pressed on for love and home and country, the main streets, the schoolyards, the churches, and neighbors, the families and communities that gave us men such as these. They were sustained by the confidence that America can do anything, because we are a noble nation with a virtuous people praying to a righteous God. The exceptional might came from a truly exceptional spirit. The abundance of courage came from an abundance of faith. The great deeds of an army came from the great depths of their love. As they confronted their fate, the Americans and the Allies placed themselves into the palm of God's hand.
81 years ago, today is D-Day, today, and as that older gentleman said, we just got to get back. That speech by President Trump was from 2019, and with everything you're seeing right now, complete craziness going on. You realize that, and I know some of you do, but you realize, and when you accepted the fact that men did, and women, did whatever they could to liberate this country. Many died and paid for it with their lives. Other people were back here doing everything they could to supply those people over there because they respected what they were doing to save America, to save what we stand for. And over the last, 24, 48 hours, you've seen people, including at sometimes the president, seem like that has been forgotten. And what makes it worse to me is because I know, as I've sat back and surveyed everything myself, I'm sure many of you have as well, there's something really wrong. There's something really, really wrong. And that thing that gets to me is we're watching the richest man in the world and the President of the United States seemingly battle it out in public. I say seemingly because none of us knows what is actually going on. But most important, I think people have forgotten what really matters. You see, what really matters is that a civilian is arguing or feuding with the President of the United States. The President of the United States, that's it. That's the apex of the A. That is the President of the United States. Everything else is below him. I don't mean from a personal standpoint. Nobody's better than anybody else. But I'm talking about in terms of rank, which really matters on a day like today. People understand what rank is. Somebody ordered those young men to take that beach, knowing full well many of them were never going to return to the boats. Somebody had to make that decision. It was not a good decision as far as many of the families felt, but it was a decision that they willfully took upon themselves because of why? Because A, the chain of command said this is what we have to do. And back then, there may have been some dissension. There may have been some people who were like, do we really need to do this? But they did it. I've mentioned to you many times about being in a huddle where a coach has called a play and we've all known this play's going to suck. Man, this play sucked. What do we get? And the quarterback would say, shut up. Oh, we're going to run it. And you break the huddle and you run that play to the best of your ability, and you just do what the coach said to do. Because he's got the full battle plan. He understands, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to run this play in the first quarter. I'm going to look at it on film to see how they react. And we're going to come back to it in the third quarter and check out where their vulnerabilities are. We're going to take this beach in Normandy. We're going to storm it because you don't see all the rest of the plan that we put in place in terms of how we're going to attack on this flank or attack on that flank. All you get to see is this. It is none of your business what the generals are planning. You don't get all that information. You get your task at hand. The problem with Elon is that he considered himself one of the generals. He considered himself actually the co-president. And one of the harsh realities of what just happened is you're not. It's his job. It's he who has to wear that crown. And it's he who has to face the country. Not you. Now, that doesn't mean at all that I take what Elon has done lightly. There are some people, and even President Trump said, you didn't help me when I would have won without you, whatever they were saying. And I think if you step back and actually realize that, I want you to think about something, because even President Trump may not have thought about this, is that is a question or statement that's open to discussion. Could President Trump have won without Elon Musk's help? Well, the answer obviously is yes, could have. Anything could have happened. There's no doubt that he could have won without Elon Musk's help. However, the likelihood of him winning without Elon Musk's help is a lot slimmer. Let me prove this to you. I want you to dial things back a few years when Jack Dorsey owned Twitter. And many people you probably know were told to shut up. Were exiled. Told you cannot use this platform because you are a nutjob MAGA person. Go away. Including President Trump himself. Go away. The media, with their propaganda and their gaslighting, they just hammered him, and they hammered him, and they hammered him. And we watched, and there was nothing we could do. There wasn't anything President Trump could do. Facebook did the same thing. YouTube did the same thing. We were silenced. There was no way for us to coordinate messaging. There was really no way for him to fight back against the masses. I know personally the woman sitting out there on the couch, she got banned from Twitter. I don't know how I survived, but she got banned. Many people got banned. And then, of course, what we now kind of, some people still look at as a conspiracy theory, and they talk about that 17th letter and all the stuff that was happening on these different platforms because we had no voice. There was no place for us to talk. Even the biggest, quote, influencer was banished. There was no communication. Do you remember that? Or are you too new to the party? And I don't mean political party. I mean the party, the communication party, the big grand communication that's happening worldwide right now. Are you new to that? Because most of us would log on and go, well, I better talk about the dog or the puppies or ice skating or the Miami Dolphins, because if I dare say anything that I really want to talk, what I really think that matters, they would tell you, sorry, bam, gone. So it wasn't until this guy walked in with this kitchen sink and put down $44 billion, did we have the chance once again to begin speaking. And it felt oh so good because now, hey, I remember you. You used to be talking. Oh yeah, let me follow you again. Hey, oh yeah, you. And I'm talking large names. Everybody was coming back. And so never forget that. Because I firmly believe that Elon Musk had a humongous factor, influence on getting President Trump elected. I'm not even talking dollars and investments and everything else. I'm talking about merely having the ability to communicate. Think, go back. If you think I'm lying, go back and think to yourself what it was like here on YouTube. There was no Rumble. Parler, they blew that up. Gab, I think, was one of them. That couldn't talk there. Facebook, Zuckerberg was zapping you as fast as you could put something out. I had one of the biggest Trump platforms on Facebook. Went in, logged in one morning, it was like, poof, gone. What happened? Nope, go away. I'm still banned on Facebook. By the way, if you see people saying they're me on Facebook, it's an imposter. I am still, to this day, banned on Facebook. So, when you hear about the UAE wanting to put in $1 trillion because of AI, or this company wanting to put in $1 gazillion, or Zuckerberg even putting in $1 gazillion, or Bezos putting in $1 gazillion, none of that, well, let me put it, most of that probably would not have happened if not for the fact that Elon Musk was partnering and getting things done with Donald Trump. Every single one of us voted for Trump. None of us voted for Elon. There's no doubt about that. Every single one of us watching this video, except for trolls, is a Trump supporter. Elon just happened to be somebody else at the dinner that were like, hey, you're pretty cool. Come on over. But I think it's a mistake for people to begin taking sides here and saying this guy's crazy and there's no way, he's too big for his britches. And I mean, some of the insane stuff that I've heard on Twitter, instead of just staying out of it, staying out of this domestic dispute between these two people, because you don't know how it's going to end up. And you should be focusing on what actually matters. Because what matters right now is that this country stays on track and we need everybody who wants to help. Every single, including Elon. I believe that, well, I'm not going to tell you what I believe, but I told you, yeah, I think it's all an act. But let's say it's not an act. As long as they keep fighting, I'm fine. I told you many times, the opposite of love is not hate. Despite what this guy said about this guy and people, there's no way back. Are you effing kidding me? What do you mean there's no way back? You're being infantile if you don't think there's no way back. You need to strip off whatever is influenced your personal life to think that these two alpha males could not find a way back. You've seen it. There's one guy in his cabinet that he made fun of and called him Little Marco. Did you forget that? And Ted Cruz is a senator who supports Trump, and he called his wife ugly. Somehow they made it back. What is it? Was it Megyn Kelly? He said she might be bleeding this time of the month or something. Made it back. You see, we're talking about things that are much grander than people pissing you off because they insulted you. Number one, you have to accept it as an insult for it to be an insult. If you were to call me even the N-word, I'm like, whatever, doesn't matter. Let's get this done. So I think people are getting caught up in stuff that doesn't matter. Because the opposite of love, as I said, is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. Indifference meaning, I don't give a crap what you say. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what you think. It doesn't really matter to me. Go pound sand, blah, 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 blah. Don't ever call me again. Neither one has said that. President Trump, even as recently this morning, said, I don't want to talk to him right now, but who knows? Exactly. If you've ever been in a fight with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a spouse, and you're like, and you go to your separate rooms, you may say some of the most vile things right here, but then you go to your separate rooms, and then usually the guy's got to come walking back on, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can we get something to eat? At least that's how it works for me. I'm hungry. No, you don't separate and just leave the house forever. And if you do, then it is over. But these guys need each other. See, what really matters is for you to dig through all the BS and realize there is no separation here. They need each other. President Trump is more successful and America is more successful with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is more successful and more prevalent in what he can do with Donald Trump. They're not going to separate that right now, even though there's all kinds of BS talk going on. They both know deep inside, he's got some good stuff for me. Yeah, I'm going to need him to do this or that. Neither one of them can part and go, I don't need you. You do. You do. You want one proof on as to why President Trump needs Elon? Well, there's a whole bunch of satellites and Starlink and all this other kind of stuff and AI. Never mind, he owns X and he could just make all of us disappear if he wanted to. All his supporters could go poof. He could write an algorithm, say anybody who has said anything positive about Donald Trump, make them go away. And we're back to the Dark Ages. He's not going to do that because he needs Trump. Trump's not going to cancel contracts like he said and everything else, because no, he needs Elon. But what really matters when you bring it back to the entire crux of everything is America needs both of these men to get their crap together. And also what America needs is for the periphery, the peanut gallery, if you will, to shut the hell up. I am so sick and tired of people being leeches, literally leeches, to actually try to enhance their influence by saying this or saying that, especially on X. You want to hear something really interesting? Probably nobody's going to tell you this. I'm going to show you some of this stuff later. Actually, I didn't because it made me sick. But there are people out there advocating for this to happen to Elon and that to happen to Elon, and he should have his companies taken by the government, and he should maybe be deported. And they're saying all this on X while cashing checks from Elon. Yeah, some of y'all didn't realize that, right? Sit back and think about that for a minute. Oh, this guy sucks. He should be deported. We should take his business. And you're doing that. You're saying all this on his platform, which is paying you for that engagement. Let that sink in. As you're watching these people talk shit, and I'm saying shit, on X, understand, you look at that blue check mark that they are paying him so that they can be monetized to make money off of the crap that they put out there while they're saying this guy should lose his livelihood. What kind of insanity is that? What kind of Vulcan mind meld crap are they doing on people like you as they're doing this on his platform? Do you realize that many of the same people who are blasting Elon Musk would lose a crap load of money if all of a sudden he just went boom? Guess what? You no longer can spew here. No, you got to go. We're not going to have that anymore. You've been advocating for my demise and my company's demise. Skedaddle. Then you would see them freak out. I can't believe Elon blocked me and he took my account. It wasn't your account. You're on his platform and you were talking crap about him while getting paid by him. What kind of insanity is that? Now as you've heard that, in case you weren't thinking of it, now as you've heard that, I want you to have a different perspective as you're looking on X. Because you may not have realized it. Wait a second. You're getting paid to spew crap by the guy you're spewing crap about. It's lucrative to be a dick. It's quite lucrative to pretend as though you're not beholden to the person that you're being a dick to. It is mind-boggling to me as I watch what some of these people put online. And now you know a little bit of an inside baseball secret that now as you're seeing these different things play out, you got to sit back and go, wait a second. Oh, you just got like 20,000 likes and 30,000 views and 100,000 comments and blah. You're getting paid. You're absolutely getting paid to say the things that you're saying by the guy that you have a problem with. You are telling us you need Elon Musk. Isn't that a mind screw right there when you think about it? Have you taken the time to even let that sink in? Do you realize that? So when you start looking at things and saying, what really matters? And what these people are doing to each other and to you. That's when you step back and go, wait a minute, man. We're all on the same team here. We're under siege by enemies, foreign and domestic, and spiritual. And you people are focusing on BS for clicks, likes, and views. How about you just shut up and encourage America? Hey guys, we're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. These guys need each other. Well, here's what really matters. Because that's what really matters, is that we move forward as a country. I don't know how many of you guys have ever sat on a big, giant deal. You see the big, beautiful bill that's going on right now. Or military negotiations. I don't know, real estate, whatever it is. The people who are making this deal will sometimes complain a lot. They'll bitch. Because it doesn't feel good if you're not getting your way. But when the other side has as much at stake as you, it's very hard to get your way because either person at any time can go, you know what? I'm done with you. But then you sit back and go, we got to do this deal, don't we? Yeah. This guy's a son of a bitch. Yeah, we got to do this deal. Unless you're a Democrat, then you just try to blow up the whole thing. So understand, I've got Congressman Randy Fine getting ready to come on. I'll take this up after we speak with him. But I want you to focus on something that probably nobody's told you. You start looking and start wondering all of a sudden to yourself, why have people decided that X or Facebook or YouTube or whatever is their communication mode of choice? Instead of just picking up the phone, hey man, we need to talk. You're a pain in my ass. Yeah, we need to talk. All right, I'll call you back. You don't want to talk to me right now? Not this. Oh, boom. And I'm going to show you some examples. It's continuing. And then you're going to sit back and say, that's crazy. Why are you doing it? What matters? Oh, I got a lot of likes on it. Oh, yeah, it's got a lot of comments. Oh, yeah, I'm making money. You see, there are very few people who out there, most of you probably, who actually post on X because you just want to communicate. When you have these big, giant followings of people, you're getting paid. There's a reason why people are buying the blue check. I'll tell you right now, I have a blue check. Robin has a blue check. And that's because we want our message to go out further. But, some of us are monetized for what we put on X. Some of us are double monetized when I can put something on X to have people come watch the video. No secret from me. That's specifically why there's different things that are done. Well, at least be honest with people and say, hey, listen, you're getting money from Elon, aren't you? Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you people about that. Yeah, they don't tell you. Now you know. All right, I've got Congressman Randy Fine getting ready to come in. I see him. He's all set up. And take him right after the break.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I've got Congressman Randy Fine here in the bullpen. Congressman Fine, here is his Twitter X/profile if you guys want to follow him. Husband and father, proudly serving Florida's 6th Congressional District. The 6th Congressional District, I think he'll go ahead and define it better, but I think it's between, if I can remember in terms of like where the districts are, it's up there probably south of Jacksonville, right by St. Augustine, all the way down to Daytona Beach, and it might be bigger. So he's got a big district up there. A lot of people in that area. Congressman Fine, did I define that correctly?
Well, you got close.
Okay.
It is south of St. Augustine all the way to Daytona, but it goes all the way west to the outskirts of Gainesville, Ocala, and the Villages. It's actually larger than the state of Connecticut.
Wow, I did not know that, because I try to make myself know where the districts are, and I knew it was like way up there. I'm in Boca, by the way, when I say way up there. But thank you for joining Daytona. Spent many. I used to live in Daytona. I spent a lot of my time out there at the racetrack, and I remember I'm asleep one day and I didn't know anything about racing. And I woke up and I thought someone had invaded Daytona. It was the first time I heard them going around the track practicing. And I'm like, oh my God, that's loud. And we were like a mile away and I could still hear these things. And then I got hooked on racing. So there's that.
I get it. When my oldest son was 6 years old, we went camping in the oval of the Daytona Speedway as a Cub Scout camp out. And I will never forget him sleeping like a log, despite the fact that the cars were racing around at night. So I know how loud it can get.
They were practicing while you guys were out there?
Actually, they were racing. It just happened to be at night. You know, when you're 6 years old, you don't stay up that late.
Yeah.
But 8, 9 o'clock at night, they were still racing and he was asleep.
I urge anybody, if you haven't been, and there's many racetracks, but Talladega and all kinds of things. But if you haven't been to Daytona 500, I urge you to go. It's an event comparable to the Super Bowl, if not bigger than the Super Bowl.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah, 200,000.
Amazing thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on by next year and see the Daytona 500.
I got to ride in the blimp and everything. I was doing work with Budweiser, and they let me go up in the big Budweiser blimp. It was like amazing. I could see all the track and everything. All right, so
I got to be there this year with President Trump, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, why'd you have to Trump me like that? All right, so what in the hell is going on? First, let's start with the question everybody's asking. What's your take on this Elon and Trump dust-up?
Well, what I like to say is this: brothers like to fight. And, sometimes you have a big, hot fight when you're close to someone, and then you get it out and you work it out. It is my hope that President Trump and Elon can sort of get to a common place, because, frankly, we're all on the same team. We need one big, beautiful team. And I understand President Trump's position. I agree with it. I understand Elon Musk's vision. The problem for Elon is where it gets into the practicalities of getting things done. One big beautiful bill is a starting point, not an ending point. It's not one big beautiful plan for the next 30 years. And in politics, I'm new to being in Congress, but the way I look at it is as a football game, and we need to get from the 20-yard line, we need to get down all the way down to getting a touchdown 80 yards away.
Right.
You don't have to throw a Hail Mary pass on every play. We need to get a first down, and then we'll keep on going, and that's what one big beautiful bill does.
Yeah, and when I looked at what Elon is complaining about, he kind of is showing his inexperience per se, because he's not understanding what the difference is between reconciliation and what rescission is. So could you explain to people, I know some people have heard it, why some of the things he wants can't possibly go in the big beautiful bill?
Well, let me start with a compliment of Elon first. Elon is bringing attention to the fact that we have an existential crisis in this country, and that is our inability to spend within our means. And if we continue to take on $2 trillion a year of debt, this country will collapse in the lifetime of our children. Rome is burning, and Elon sees that, and I credit him for that. The problem is thinking we can solve every problem in one bill. So what we're trying to do in this bill, this is a reconciliation bill. What does that mean? Well, the simplest way to put it is a bill that does not require 60 votes in the Senate. See, Democrats have no interest in saving America. They have no interest in running America. All they want is open borders, to give free stuff to illegal immigrants, and to impeach President Trump. So we have to govern the country by ourselves, which means we can't get to 60 votes in the Senate. Reconciliation is a bill that can pass with 51 votes. But there are rules to what can be in reconciliation. You cannot put policy into a reconciliation bill. You cannot do discretionary spending in a reconciliation bill. You can do spending on mandatory programs and certain things. So we can't do everything even a majority of Republicans would want to do. We have to play within the rules of reconciliation. But the other thing we can do, and is going to start coming to the floor next week, is rescission. These are cuts that DOJ found that have to be sent to us from the White House, and we have 45 days to vote on them. And just today, H.R. 4 was introduced that will be the first set of rescissions where we're going to start cutting even more. So I think the big thing people need to focus on, including Elon, is the one big beautiful bill is an amazing bill that does amazing things, but it is just one bill. And the way we will govern successfully is through incrementality, one step at a time.
I love that word, incrementality. So with the rescission, how many votes do you need?
That I think is, well, I actually don't know the answer to that in the Senate. I don't know. I mean, in the House, we need 51. I'm new. I'm still learning the rules here. But that's a great question. I'm not sure what you need in the Senate. But look, if Democrats want to die on the sword of, sex change operations in Guatemala and having the CEO of Sesame Street make millions of dollars a year, then that's on them. But I co-sponsored the rescissions bill as soon as it came out, and it's about $10 billion, I believe. And I hope we do 100 more of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This isn't just the last one. You're going to continue to put, this cut, and this cut. How long do you think it will take to get to that point in terms of different bills to be trimmed before it gets to something that somebody like Elon and Rand Paul and Thomas Massey will say, okay, I see what's happening. Even though those guys should see what's happening, how much are they looking to see cut?
Well, I don't want to, some of those folks I'm not big fans of. I mean, what I want, let's focus on what I want.
Okay.
I want a plan to get to a balanced budget.
Ooh.
And that is a plan that we do not have yet.
Right.
By the way, even some of those people you talked about who love to run their mouths, they don't really like to work.
Right.
And I don't think any of them have a plan to balance the budget. But I would like to see a plan, and then we're going to have to develop it. That will balance the budget and then ultimately pay back this debt. That's when we'll be done. But here's how I look at bills. Very simple. Are we better off passing this than not passing it? I don't ask the question of, does the bill solve every single problem? Right. Am I better off passing it? And with most bills, that's the question. They may not solve 100% of the problem, but solving 5% of the problem is better than solving 0% of the problem. I think that's how we have to look at this.
One of the problems that Elon said, he thinks, and the other guys have said, is that it adds trillions of dollars to the deficit. But that could it doesn't. Yeah, right. But even that could be added in recession. The other thing is the debt and how to.
It doesn't, though.
Yeah, tell everybody how it doesn't, because I think that gets confusing as well.
So it only adds to the debt if you believe that continuing tax rates at current levels is a tax cut. That is the assumption. So it says it creates more debt because we're going to continue tax rates at their current levels. Imagine if we put massive tax increases on the American people. Right. We'll implode the economy. Now, what the part of the problem is the people who score these things don't often get it right. And by the way, the last time we did these tax cuts, they got their estimates wrong by trillions of dollars. Right. Part of what I've discovered in Washington over the 2 months that I've been here is there are problems with culture, there are problems with rules, and there are problems with process. And while we've got to be focused on policy, we also have to be focused on rules and process. And if we're making policy based on process that is wrong, which much of this scoring is, then we're going to end up with the wrong answer. But they were $1.5 trillion wrong last time they scored this stuff.
Now, you mentioned a couple of times that you're new. I know because I live in Florida, but can you explain to people why you're in Congress right now?
Sure. Well, 7 months ago, I got elected to the Florida Senate. I'm not in the Florida Senate anymore after being in the Florida House of Representatives for 8 years. And then President Trump decided he wanted Mike Waltz to be his national security advisor. So that opened up a open congressional seat. And President Trump asked me to run to fill the spot and to bring another fighter to Washington. So my election was April 1st. So whereas most new congressmen got elected in November, got sworn in January, I got elected April 1st. I got sworn in on April 2nd. So I've only been doing this job for a couple of months. In fact, I am so new that I just moved into my apartment here in Washington, and I'm sleeping on a mattress on the floor. I mean, it is a brand new situation as we try to stand up a congressional office, in zero time flat. The average congressman has about 60 days from the time they get elected until the time they get sworn in. I got 22 hours.
Well, I think it was important because people here aren't from Florida. Sure. A lot of people aren't from Florida. And they're like, well, where'd this guy come from? He said he's new. How did he just arrive on the scene? And I think it's important for people to know that President Trump personally said, this is the guy I want. This wasn't part of an open, per se, election. We did have to vote here. But it made a big difference because President Trump said, this is my guy, which.
Yeah, President Trump endorsed me before I filed to run. I'll never forget when it happened. It was a Saturday afternoon. It was November 23rd when he sent out that faded X post, or maybe it was Truth Social. Yeah. And then I filed to run 3 days later. So I did it because President Trump asked me to. I believe that God saved his life in Butler, Pennsylvania, so that he could save the world. And I'm honored to be one of his soldiers here fighting on the battlefield to make sure we get his vision done.
Absolutely. So next thing is, everyone always says that the Congress has the power to do something about the district court judges. Do you see that being as something you guys could roll out anytime soon? Because these judges are out of control.
Well, again, this is the challenge. And by the way, you are 100% right. 100% right. Here's the problem. This is the sort of thing that requires 60 votes in the Senate. So we have passed a bill in the House. I think it passed my first week that I was here. I don't remember the bill number, but what the bill did is it limited the ability of judges to do these kinds of things. The problem will be getting it out of the Senate. Yeah. I think, though, we need to take a hard look at defunding some of these courts and, frankly, impeaching some of these judges. And look, even if we can't get the Senate to remove them, I think there's value in considering impeachment because of the humiliation factor that they will go through. I mean, the behavior of some of these judges. I mean, can you believe that a Muslim terrorist, illegal immigrant, can burn Jews alive a week ago and can say on video that he waited until his illegal immigrant family, his daughter, graduated from high school? We know they're all illegals. And then the judge says they can't be deported. Like, we have people we know are in this country illegally. Those facts are not in dispute. How on earth can a judge say, no, 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 you can't deport them? I mean, we've got real problems in the judiciary right now.
And do you foresee, I mean, I saw something posted on, I think it was one of the White House feed, but they're still going forward with that. I mean, so I don't know how would you see that happening?
Well, the problem is this is how the rule of law breaks down. You know, if judges exceed their constitutional authority, the president may say, well, good luck to you. I'm doing it anyway. It's not a healthy situation that we are in. And this is being caused by judges who are simply out of control.
Yes, very much so. So what do you think is going to happen with some of these? And I don't want to get you in a pickle with anybody, but with the congressional people who are openly interfering with deportations.
I think they should be arrested and put in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, look, you do not have a right to come to this country just because you want to come. Mm-hmm. And we have massive problems in this country caused by illegal immigrants. Mm-hmm. I always talk about a problem in Florida. You know, people complain to me all the time about the cost of their car insurance. Mm-hmm. This is just, I mean, we're focused on murders and deaths, but just look at something like car insurance. Right. You know what the single largest part of many people's car insurance is? It's not to insure themselves. It's to insure illegal immigrants. Well, what do I mean? Well, an illegal immigrant in Florida can't get a driver's license. They're not allowed to drive, but they drive anyway. Well, they not only don't have a driver's license, they don't have car insurance. Right. So when they get in an accident, guess who pays for the cost of that accident? Yep. You do, the one who has insurance. Illegal immigrants add to our cost of life. They add to the cost of healthcare, education, insurance, law enforcement. And so we need to round them up and we need to send them home. And by the way, the big beautiful bill does that.
Yeah, exactly. And as you were talking about, you know, immigrants and people coming, they're not entitled to be here. What kind of repercussions are you hearing about Trump's renewed travel ban from certain countries?
You know, I haven't actually heard a lot of unhappiness. I think people generally agree. I mean, these are countries that not only we cannot vet the people well before they get here, but if you look at the percentage of visa overstays, you know, it's insane. One of the things that Americans don't understand, and I didn't until a few years ago, people hear illegal immigrant and they think someone who swam across the Rio Grande. Yeah. The fact of the matter is 50% of our illegal immigrants came here legally. They came to go on vacation, and then they just didn't go home. They got a visa to come here and then they didn't leave. And that's also illegal. Those are illegal immigrants too. And they are a drain on our system. They are a drain on our country, and all of them need to go home.
I salute you on that, because down here in South Florida is probably worse than where you guys are up there in Daytona area, because we're swamped. And at the same time, I don't want to see some of the Cuban people who have been here and have rebuilt South Florida for a certain part of things. It's the criminal element that I think has to be taken out. So
I think most of those folks that you're speaking about that are Cubans, just because you're an immigrant doesn't mean you're an illegal immigrant.
Exactly.
And we've welcomed Cubans into this country for a long time. And by the way, I'm not anti-immigration. Right. Immigration is what made America. It's what made America great. It's what let my family come here 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I'm not anti-immigration. I'm anti-illegal immigration. I think it needs to be controlled. I think you need to admit into this country people who are going to add to it, not to destroy it. People who are going to come here and get a job and help build our economy, not those who want to come here and get free things or be criminals. Yeah. So I believe we should be encouraging people. What we should have, the best of the world should want to come to this country, not simply those willing to break the law. Because what you have to remember is every illegal immigrant, every single one, with one exception, which I'll talk about in a minute, comes from an original sin. They knowingly broke the law to come to this country. Everything that's happened after that doesn't matter. Right. They broke the law to come here. It's fruit from the poison tree. The exception of that are the children that are human trafficked by their parents. Mm-hmm. And that issue is one that I have an issue with, because I don't think that, I think their parents have done a real disservice to those children. But the adults, they chose to come here. No one made them.
So you just mentioned a very, very touchy subject that many people have been wondering what's going on. Is there anything you guys can do to shed some light as to what's going on with finding some of these kids, with getting rid of some of the criminals that have brought I'm being very delicate here, brought these kids here, the actual Johns that are involved with some of this insane, depraved stuff. It just seems like we hear the stats, there's 300,000 here, 300,000 there. We see the movies, but we see certain arrests, but we're not seeing the revelation in terms of these guys are behind it. And it just it's disconcerting at this part that we're not seeing that from our own Justice Department.
Well, there's more work to do. Look, part of the big, beautiful bill is to give Trump the resources he needs to deport a lot of people. You know, they only have so many resources. And the fact of the matter is many states aren't helping the federal government. I was proud in the 5 months I was in the Senate before I left to join Congress, I sponsored Florida's immigration bill that basically deputizes Florida law enforcement to work with ICE to round up illegal immigrants and send them home. Florida's the only state that's done anything like that. So we need more red state governors, more blue state governors, more red state legislatures, more blue state legislatures to get with the program of rounding up and sending home every single illegal immigrant, all of them.
Yeah, last question for you. Some awesome economic news came out. I'm going to talk about that later in the show. The jobs numbers are up. The unemployment is steady. Income is actually up. There's so much to be, excited about, enthusiastic. But I don't see the media in terms of focusing on it. It seems like Trump is the only guy who's able to get out there, and no pun intended, and trumpet what is actually happening. So how do we get the messaging out to more people that this is already working? The tariffs are already working because we're fighting uphill against this horrible media.
Well, you're helping with that. So we need all of the alternative media that's out there to tell it. Look, the one gift that Elon Musk gave us was effectively saving free speech by keeping X open and allowing people to talk. And we have to remember that as our two friends, President Trump and Elon Musk, are fighting. But we have an obligation. We now don't need to depend on CNN or NBC or ABC to give us our information. We can share it ourselves. So if you support President Trump, you need to help get the word out there through your own social media channels. And that's certainly what I'm trying to do. That's why I'm here talking to you today.
Bingo, exactly. And last question, or not last question, well, you can respond to this, but what's going on in Harvard and Columbia and some of these completely anti-Semitic run universities, how are you, especially as a Jewish man? And I live down, and just to let you know, my community, my gated community where I live is 99% Jewish, and there's actually a Shabbat right at our gate. And
you live in Century Village?
No, they're a little bit too old for us. but actually not too far away. I mean, they're about a mile away. We're further west near the Everglades, and I see the pain in people's face. They're having to see this stuff in the news where these people are walking around with these scarves, and these young people are just completely twisted. How do we get these campuses back to teaching instead of indoctrinating?
Well, there's a couple solutions. You don't see these problems in Florida. And you know why you don't? Because for 8 years, I passed bills that said we wouldn't put up with it. And you know what I started by doing? And I want to do this federally. I passed a bill at Florida that said you have to treat anti-Semitism the same way you treat racism. At no college campus in America, including Florida, could a black student be called the N-word and people would say, oh, free speech, free speech. No, in 10 seconds, that kid would be kicked out. And for the record, I agree. But somehow when it comes to Jews, people discover free speech. Well, what we did is we said, we're not going to tell you how to deal with anti-Semitism. You just have to do it the same way you do racism. And that solves the problem. We need to do that federally. The next thing we need to do is we need to make sure American universities are focused on Americans. In Florida, which has the #1 state university system in the country, 90% of the students have to be from Florida because the state of Florida subsidizes those universities. We need to start to tell our national universities, if you want federal money, your primary focus has to be educating Americans. Because a big problem, and we need to tackle this, is we got to get the money from places that hate us, whether it's China or whether it's Qatar, these people do not like us. They do not share our values, and they are manipulating our universities to damage our country. There's a lot we can do, but what I say is this, and this is personal for me. I went to Harvard, and I went there 35 years ago. And by the way, it was liberal then, but I was never scared to be there.
Right.
But what I tell people is I know because I did it in Florida that we can solve this problem.
I try to tell people all the time, and sometimes I feel jaded because I feel like I'm in a different world down here. I mean, it's
so true.
It's
Do
so
you want to know when I
different.
learned that? I learned that during COVID. When I would travel outside of COVID. Yeah, Florida, we reopened after a few months. Everything was fine. And then I would go places, and it'd be like I was in another world. Like, you know, look, if we could make America Florida, America would be fine.
I used to get relatives that would come down and visit, and they would show up at the airport, and they'd have their masks on, and they're scared. And then they'd suddenly realize, they'd look around, and they were the only ones. And they're like, I look stupid, don't I? Yeah, this is the free state of Florida. Well,
we can fix this. Yeah, we can fix this. We just need to make America Florida.
Congressman Fine, thank you very much, and have a very safe weekend. Are you staying in Washington, or are you coming home?
I am this weekend. I've got to get moved into my apartment, so that's my focus.
Well, good luck. We'll talk to you very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That was Congressman. Again, that's Congressman Randy Fine. You can follow him on X at Rep Fine. Husband and father proudly serving Florida's 6th congressional district. And like I said, I've told you guys many a times, I sometimes when I'm talking on these videos, I realize people don't have it like we have it down here. And we've passed laws, as you heard Congressman Fine say. We make sure that if something does raise its ugly little head, it gets smacked down very quickly. I remember when there were some people trying to block the roads, and they got in Miami. Let me just tell you, don't do that crap down here. They will literally drag your butts off, drag you, not carry you, drag you off the street, throw you in the side until the paddy wagon can come pick you up. We're not having it. You don't hear a lot about stuff. People like you see on television where they're maybe in the airport because that's federal. See, that's the other thing. I'll see these things at the airport where they're fighting or something like, that's because the feds don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. The fifis don't step out into Miami or Fort Lauderdale and think that's going to happen. Nope. And like I said, I live here surrounded in a Jewish community. Love it here. That's another thing. I absolutely love it here. Nobody points fingers or anything like that. And I feel very, very comfortable. Robin feels very, very comfortable. And our neighbors are fantastic. And some of them are Democrats, but they're not nuts. There's a little bit of a difference. So I'm going to take a break. When I come back, we're going to continue with some video on today's show. Want to talk to you about one of our sponsors. And as you guys know, it's Lear Capital. This is some silver. This is some gold. There's a lot of things happening in the world right now. Crazy stuff. But as you saw today, things look very good. The job numbers are up. Let me see what what's going on in terms of the stock market. Because as I told you, I spend a lot more time on CNBC now than everything else. Boom! Dow's up 440 points. S&P up 68. NASDAQ up 272. S&P touched 6,000. Fantastic. Things are looking great. Forget the Elon Musk, Donald Trump dust up. I got to take one comment because I want to address this comment specifically. And here's that comment. And I guess you missed what I was saying at the open. Starchild says, that's all fine and good, but ask yourselves, can Trump or anyone trust Elon anymore? That's not your call. You're not the president. You don't have to worry about trusting Elon Musk. That's not for us to focus on. What's for us to focus on is whether or not we can enjoy life, we can prosper, we are safe, things are happening. Whatever's going on between the two of them, it's not up to you to trust Elon Musk. It's not up to me or you to trust Dan Bongino or Pam Bondi or Kash Patel. We don't have that kind of relationship with them. When I walk through the store, or if you walk through a grocery store, do you trust the people shopping? No, you don't know them. So don't worry about them. Focus on the right stuff. We're going to talk about that when I get back. But focus on the right stuff, which is partly what President Trump has said. Live your life. Enjoy life. Let them work that stuff out. I don't care. I don't care. I know it's sunny outside. I know I'm safe. I know I'm going to dinner with my wife. I know my grandson's flying down here on Monday. I know things are well. I see the stock market. I know gold is. I don't care, y'all fighting. Doesn't matter to me. This is what matters. We're in a very volatile time right now. There's plenty of financial uncertainty. Now is not the time to be speculative. And I'm also speaking from a personal perspective. I'm buying income-producing real estate, and I'm buying gold and silver. A lot of people don't know the difference between the economy and the stock market. And too many people listen to the news and social media. That'll get you in trouble. Let's face it. It's obvious that a lot of people have an agenda they're not telling you about. Right now, your best bet is stability. And that means you might need to build a hedge against global volatility. May I recommend gold and silver to you? Real gold and real silver. Not paper, not certificates. Actual gold and silver. What gold and silver can give you is absolute peace of mind. A stock is only as good as the company behind it. It's merely a piece of paper. One of the things I can tell you is that many people are finding out the hard way that some of their investments were built on quicksand. Gold will never be worth zero. Silver will never be worth zero. If you want to calm some of your fears, give my friends at Lear Capital a call today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. Just so you know, Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $5 billion in trusted transactions. And Lear is the only gold company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So go to learberry.com. If you want peace of mind, give my friends at Lear Capital a call at 800-601-5430. Or look down here below and go to learberry.com. And don't forget to ask about getting up to $15,000 in free gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. Don't wait. Do it now. Nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Be safe. I just want to say thank you to the Fanfare community. And if you're new here, I'd like to take a moment and welcome you. If you watch my videos, you've probably realized at this point that this isn't your usual podcast. The difference is that every single day I try to make this show an open conversation amongst friends. You see, I believe that speaking to friends, here and in your own circle offline, is the best way to push back against all the lies being told by the Democrats and the media. I encourage people in this community to welcome each other, and in doing so become a source of support for those seeking to unplug from the matrix. If you'd like to communicate on a deeper level, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, but if you'd really like to surround yourself with like-minded patriots, join our free and private X group by going to fanfareshop.org/group. When you join this free group, a few things will happen. One, if you haven't used X before, you can use X without venturing into the sewer that it sometimes can be. Two, you can share content with friends that you meet here. 3, you will get notified every time I go live, so you can't count on YouTube notifications. And 4, and this might be most important, you get content that I can't share on YouTube or Rumble. So please take a moment and join our free and private X group. just go to fanfareshop.org/group. Remember, it's members only. There are 16,000 plus people in that group right now, getting close to 17,000. To join our free and private members only X group, just go to fanfareshop.org/group. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so let's take some comments before I move on. God Bless America says, no, I'm hearing you say F your opinion, my opinion matters, my show. Sorry. Maybe you need some interpreters next to you, because I never said that. I never said that whatsoever, so I don't even know how you came up with that. Your opinion matters to you. My opinion matters to me, and if other people want to, subscribe to what I have to say. Some people obviously will subscribe to what you have to say. You can have your opinion. Doesn't mean that anyone else has to, accept it. Including me. Wondering where all the Bible's set. No, I still have about 250 to go out. We're waiting for them to replenish because we've been buying them out. Coming soon. Trust versus must does not affect me personally, so life goes on. Bingo. Bingo, 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 bingo. That's what I'm saying. That's it. Okay? In case anybody's wondering, let me just leave that here for a second. It does not affect you personally. There's no way you can say it affects you personally unless you let it mentally affect you personally. He didn't call you any names. Trump didn't call you any names. It hasn't stopped the economy from blossoming. Hasn't stopped anything. Sun shining. Life goes on. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't have your opinion. I'm just saying that why be mired down by your opinion? Let's see here. Oh, so we have to put up with Dr. Evil. I don't know. Do I need to get somebody to type subtitles in terms of what I'm saying? You don't have to put up with anybody. You're not involved with Elon Musk. Unless you are. But for the most part, what do you mean? You don't like something I say? Click. You don't like something that somebody else says? Click. You don't like something that Elon Musk says? You can block him on X. Yeah, if you wanted to not hear anything Elon Musk has to say in terms of do you have to put up with him? No, you can just click block. And you'll never see anything else he ever posts. So no, you don't have to put up with anybody. Wow. Absolutely true, Barry. Elon and Trump's relationship is none of my business. Nope, none of us. Let's see here. You're right, Barry. Elon has an agenda he does talk about, except no one is hearing him. Don't we all? I mean, when you think about it, each one of us has something intrinsic that we like to see from our government. Me personally, I like to see no taxes, ever. I think we give away too much money to other countries. I think we're spending too much money. You guys, many of you probably feel the same thing. My agenda would get us to a point where we do have no taxes, income taxes. Definitely don't want any property taxes. I'm sure there's many of you who would agree. Those are the type of things that affect me personally. When I go to a store, when I go out to dinner with Robin, when we're putting the credit card down to pay a bill, it's like, oh, okay, that's nice. If she wants to go get some furniture or the grandson wants to come down here, is he safe coming down here? Is he safe flying on his own for the first, I think it's first time he's flying on his own. Do I have faith and trust in the airline to make sure that he's safe to get here so I can meet him at the airport? These are the decisions that matter to me. Not that the two of these guys are fighting, and I'm definitely not having to put up with it, because at some point, which is probably as soon as I get done with here, we're pretty much going to turn off. Never been to Florida. It sounds wonderful. It's extremely wonderful. I'm not being biased. I've lived in different parts of the state. I live in South Florida now. I've lived in Orlando. Worked for the Mouse up in Orlando. I've lived in Daytona. Those are the places we've lived while we've been here in Florida. Daytona, it's a little bit slower little bit more country, but it's got one of the best, beaches ever, because you can drive on the beach and everything else. So depending on what your lifestyle is like, imagine this. Imagine you're in XYZ town in Georgia or XYZ town in Idaho. There's a part of Florida that will make you feel like, wow, this is just like home, except if you're used to mountains, because we ain't got none of those. I mean, if you get in an elevator and go up, that's about the highest you can get to. You said yesterday you don't trust anyone. Yep, I said that. I said that exactly. I trust my daughter. I trust my family. I trust Robin. From a business perspective, trust is earned. Just like respect is earned. When I give you my respect, obviously there's an initial respect as a human, but further respect requires you earning it. Further trust requires you earning that as well. When I talk about Cash Bondi, Cash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, do I respect them? I respect them according to that initial respect because of their position. I respect the office of the Attorney General. I respect the office of the Deputy Director of the FBI, and I respect the office of the FBI Director. Do I trust them? Only acknowledged as much as that trust is there. I don't know them. They have to earn it. President Trump? That's a different story. President Trump has earned that trust. To me, President Trump has taken a bullet. That I saw something happen on July 13th that I could not even fathom. And I'm like, that respect, trust, that is undeniable. So do I trust anyone? No, you don't just get my trust. No, ain't gonna happen. The doorbell rings. Hey, let me ask you a question. The doorbell rings at your house. And it's really weird when the doorbell rings here. Because when the doorbell rings here, Rob, are you expecting the delivery? No? You? No. Well, who the hell's pushing the doorbell? Because you can't get in this community unless you've been announced at the gate. So the first thing you think of, well, it's one of the neighbors. But usually a neighbor will say, hey, Barry, Robin, I'm going to stop by. You guys home? Yeah, okay. So when you get the doorbell, even though I'm in a trusted neighborhood, I don't trust someone on the other side just because they happen to be at the door. They haven't earned that trust yet. Let's continue. Yes, it is up to us as citizens to trust our government. These are not our neighbors, but the leaders of America. However, I know why you need to downplay what is going on with Elon and Trump. So I'd love you to share that with me, since you think I'm downplaying it. Since you know why I'm downplaying Elon and Trump. That would be some great information for you to, let us, repurpose art. Would love to hear you tell me why I'm downplaying something. I have a big mouth. I'm not downplaying anything. What I'm telling you is, it doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna have to get an interpreter. I know Ashley tells me, yeah, don't read these things. All right, I totally agree with you, Barry. I always just live my life the best way I am. Happy to live in Florida. Exactly, Rachel. Exactly. And this one here, that's all fine and good, but ask yourselves, can Trump or anyone else trust? I think I read that one before. Let's just start thinking about this for a second. The word trust is being bandied about quite a bit. Why is that? Why are people going from here saying, I don't trust this person, I don't trust that person? I don't know. Maybe your value system is, I need to trust people I don't know. I don't trust XYZ. I don't know why you would trust anybody that you don't personally know or has shown you the reason to trust them. I don't know these people. I don't know them. Maybe that's me personally. I don't know. It's crazy. People need to look at the big picture. I agree. Definitely. It could be a move to expose. People only want their own opinions. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but they are not entitled for other people to agree with their opinions, including me. So this is just an opinion. So I welcome your opinion, but telling me I'm downplaying something, nah, that's kind of crazy. All right, crazy. Michelle Skaggs says trust is earned. Everybody, you're right. I posted why it matters on X and Truth Social. I'm done talking about it. I can't expect people to know what I know. Okay, not really sure what that means, but thank you anyway. All right, so you can lose your trust when you break your promises, if you had trust to begin with. Boca is in Palm Beach County. Yes, Boca is midpoint. Yeah, because it's I guess Martin County starts a little bit above Jupiter, and so Palm Beach goes from Jupiter all the way to like Pompano, close to. Well, like I think Boca is the last city in. The last city in, what do you call it? Palm Beach County. All right, so I'm going to move on after this. I don't expect you to agree, but you shut people down. Stop! You really have to stop. I'm not shutting people down. I'm telling you what I consider and what matters. And I'm trying to offer you solace. I'm trying to offer you information that can get you to a perspective of having a learned opinion. I can't, nor am I going to try and change anyone's opinion. It's not, far be it from me. Imagine this. I want you to think of it this way. You had a cross in your, where was that? You had a cross in your profile picture. Let me bring that back up. I can't find you. But I know your name was God Bless America. Okay. Your profile is God Bless America, and you have a cross, which means just like me, you're probably a Christian. And I want you to think about this, because I'm not a pastor, but at some point, maybe you weren't a Christian. Maybe something at some point in your life, you looked for something more than just titillation. You looked for something more than just emptiness. You looked for something of substance. And so your belief that you took upon yourself, because nobody else can do it for you. Nobody in the news, not me, nobody can make you or influence you into Christ. That is a decision that you solely had to make. And you had to make it by faith. When you made that decision, were you trusting upon what your life before had told you before you rose again? Or were you looking to say that this life I had before isn't working? There's something missing. And now my focus is here because that's all that matters. And I'm sure once you've made that decision and said that's what matters, other people told you you were crazy. You worship somebody in the clouds, a cartoon. But you keep looking up there. But you have no way to explain to those other people what they're missing. They can only look at you and say, wow, God Bless America guy is living by faith. And I can see it. I can see the inner peace. So what I'm saying to you specifically right now is I have that inner peace. None of this matters. That was the title of what I put in my thumbnail. Here, let me show you, because that's specifically, I didn't want to go get, religious or anything, but that was the thumbnail. Nothing else matters. And what I mean by that is, I have my faith, I have my family, I enjoy life, and nothing else matters. President Trump is a political figure. He's not my dad, he's not my mom. He's a political figure that I just has earned my respect and my faith because of what I've seen him do for us and me and you. So that's why I'm saying your opinion is fine, but just try to correlate it to, other things you have faith in. And there's probably not a whole lot of things you quote can say, I have strong faith in this. And so, to me, and maybe I'm weird, doesn't matter. I love life. I love my family. I love my God, not in that order. I love what I do. I love turning on this camera and these lights. I love it. This is what matters. It's fun. And so when I talk about prosperity and I talk about making money and I talk about investing and it's because to me, my life matters to me. And I like to share my experiences with you. Some people don't like it. They would rather if I mire in what they're mired in. But I know when I woke up this morning, I didn't care what Elon Musk said. When I go to sleep tonight, I won't care what Elon Musk said. I care what she says. I care what Ashley says. I care how things are going. But that stuff doesn't matter. What matters right now is we're the United States of America. We have one president. And that's the only thing right now we need to be focusing on. Not all this crap. So, have your opinions. Doesn't matter. It's not what I'm saying. But I hope you hear me specifically at this point. So let's go ahead and carry on.
There is going to be a situation now where people have to choose sides, right? GOP lawmakers are already asking themselves, am I choosing Trump or Musk? I'm sure most of them will choose Trump. But that is a serious choice to have to make, given how much money Musk funneled in to the election last year. Musk recently said he doesn't want to invest in the next election in the midterms. Does anybody believe that? Does anybody believe Musk is going to sit on the sidelines with the midterms coming up? I see this as a lose-lose scenario. Trump has a lot to lose. Musk has even more to lose. Trump could turn the lever.
See, this is what the stuff that makes me smile, because as I've said many times on this channel, and many of you guys have seen before, I say they have nothing positive. Maybe that's what you guys look for. Maybe there's some people who just want the negativity. When I hear somebody say it's a lose-lose scenario, I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? You realize that's actually impossible. Never played a game where we both lost. You lose? Nope. No. Yeah, did you win? Yeah, we won. Again, this is negative programming and propaganda. And let me just tell you this. It obviously works. Think about it. Some of the comments you've been seeing and how negative instead of just the opposite. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and go, why am I not happy? Life is good. That's what these people do.
The government against Musk companies. There's 20 investigations into Musk's various companies going on right now. There are so many ways that Trump could take advantage of the government's power to hurt Musk. So in some ways, I think Trump is outmatched here. Musk is a lot more powerful on the internet. He has a much bigger megaphone on Twitter or X than Trump does on Truth Social. Musk is playing dirtier.
You see, they look at things in terms of those numbers and not understanding you. Elon's 200 million followers is very strong, very huge. But those are all over the world. Many of whom follow him for his tech stuff. Many of whom are not part of the political banter in the United States of America. Donald Trump, for the most part, unless it's media or some people international, it's mostly you. It's mostly you and me. And so they're trying to let people know, oh, this is dangerous. They're going to hurt each other. Well, I'm pretty sure, like I started out at the beginning, the only thing that could really, really, really hurt Trump, personally, is if he turned off all the people who are conservatives and said, you guys can't play on Twitter or X anymore. So if you want to take your toys and go home, that would hurt us a lot. But again, if it was so, here's something for you to look at. And I'm sorry some people think, it's money. But President Trump is trying to build prosperity and everything else. So if you know what happened yesterday, which everyone's talking about, if you guys all know about it, right? Yeah. If you know about it and the world knows about it, why is this happening right now? Why is the stock market up 455 points? The S&P is up 64. The Nasdaq's up 248. Why is that happening? Because it doesn't matter. People saw what happened today in the economic world, which we're going to talk about, and jobs are flowing, and income is rising, and all this stuff is happening. He had a call with Xi Jinping about doing trade. The only people who are bringing you down are people like CNN or, God forbid, other Republican influencers. Think about that for a second. As you're looking at this, you're like, wow, it doesn't seem like anybody really gave a crap about the two of them fighting, were they? Nope. Nope. Then why? It doesn't matter. I'm like, why does it matter? It doesn't matter. Life is good. Enjoy life. I guess what I'm saying is you can have your opinion, but I would urge you, not order you. I can't order you to do anything. I would urge you to say, wait a second. This is great. Things were great right now. They're only going to get greater. Instead of, oh, these guys are fighting and saying nasty stuff against each other. I don't care. I don't care. I kind of get that. I don't care. I don't care.
But that's because Musk has more to lose.
Joining us now, someone who just got off the phone with the president. CNN chief political correspondent Dana Bash joins us now by phone. Dana, what did he tell you?
Good morning, John. Well, he said that he's, quote, well, here's exactly what he said. Quote, I'm not even thinking about Elon. He's got a problem. The poor guy's got a problem. He said he won't be speaking to him for a while, but he said he wishes Elon Musk well.
Oh, stop there. Stop there. I won't be speaking for a while, which we can't define what that is, but I wish him well. He could have just said, I'm not talking to him for a while, and just put a period at the end. I wish him well. How many of your enemies do you wish well? Well, as Christians, many of us do, but in reality, how many of you are like, oh man, that guy's a SOB and he did this and he broke the windows in my car, but I wish him well. Wow, this guy, he posted on X yesterday that I might be a pedo, but I wish him well. That's President Trump telling you, it don't matter. Why are you worried about it? It doesn't matter. Well, he and I will talk. Eventually we'll get this worked out. But right now, I got a country to save. And meanwhile, everybody else online is screaming about, oh my God, Elon and Trump.
Conversation. He didn't seem very exercised about it. And the interesting thing is, of course, the context of this is how many people who are in both men's orbits are trying to broker a peace deal, so to speak, and trying to get them to talk because of the concern about the fallout in so many directions. I mean, the blast radius from this fallout is really, really big and very wide. But right now, he said...
Is it? The blast radius from this fallout is very big and very wide in the media. But how is it big and wide in terms of you and me? But the most important thing from this exchange was, what did she say? There are people on both sides trying to broker things out. They're trying to work it out. His sister is talking to the wife and telling the wife, you need to talk to him. The wife and the father, the dad and the father of the other spouse are like, you need to go back and talk to her. You guys need to work this out. We don't want to see you guys separate. We don't want to see this happen. Can you guys just work this out? That's because people still care. And that tells you at that point, if you're that involved, that there's still something that could happen there. You're talking about two alpha males. And I don't know if you've been around really strong, wealthy for years alpha males. My old boss, billionaire, own place, is a SOB like you wouldn't even want to know. He'll look you in the eye and cut your throat at the same time. You can go back and look at some of President Trump's old videos, read passages in his books. He has said in a video, sometimes I will just kick people to the curb just to see how they react. That's the kind of mentality that President Trump has. I'm gonna tell you to go pound sand just to see how you react. You're talking about two giant silverbacks out in the savannah there, where everybody else is like, oh, don't piss him off. Oh, you piss him off, might be some trouble here. Oh, just stay out of his way. And then the other big silverback's like, where you at? I ain't scared. Oh, I want a piece of that. You ever see the big bull elephants when they fight? Everybody else just kind of steps back and goes, oh, you guys have at it. Have you ever seen animals that fight and what happens sometimes afterwards? Or have you been in a fight? Many of you probably been in fights. Nobody else wants to get in. No, nobody's stepping in between you. Now imagine you've got two billionaires, one almost a trillionaire, has done things his way, answers to nobody. You've got a real estate developer who's the president, he answers to nobody. And you're talking about alpha to the 10th degree, each of them button heads at this point. The only problem is all of us have a ringside seat. We're just watching this happen. Go, oh, that's some crazy stuff. Oh, he threw a punch, called you a pedo. Oh, you tell him he's crazy and he needs some Adderall. Oh, and we're just watching him throw punches at each other. That's what we're seeing right now for whatever reason. We don't know what the reason is. We don't even know if they talked about it and say, okay, you do this. You're like, we don't know. But what we do know is we're watching something happen. It's like, what's a Goliath? What's the big Japanese movies? King Kong and the T-Rex, whatever. What are these people doing? Enjoy the show, whatever the show is.
He's not interested in that, and he's moving on. And in typical Donald Trump fashion, John, he, before I even asked the question, wanted to talk about what he wanted the storyline to be today, about the economy. He was talking about gas prices. He said he was waiting for the jobs numbers to come out, which I think is about 2 minutes from now.
So why do you think he was talking about that? Why do you think President Trump immediately started turning the conversation to this, meaning job numbers, gas prices, the economy? Because that's what matters. If you went to your gas pump and all of a sudden tomorrow gas prices were $8 a gallon, you worried about Elon Musk? No, not at all.
So as he has done his entire career, not just political, but since he was a businessman, trying to push out the narrative and push out the story that he thinks is the most advantageous for him, and he thinks that's the economy now. But of course, we did briefly talk about Elon Musk, and the headline is he says he has no plans to talk to him right now.
It was just in February that Musk said that he loves Trump as much as a straight man can love another, and yet
I love y'all because I couldn't think of a name. Everybody's putting here Godzilla. Yes, that's who it was. King Kong and Godzilla, and they're fighting all over the place. The big giant animals or whatever they were. How many times has King Kong versus Godzilla been made? People can't get enough of it. It's like you're just watching a train wreck and seeing these big things fighting out there, and nobody can stop them because they're the alpha monsters. King Kong and Godzilla. Of course, we just like watching train wrecks.
Yeah, what are you making of this spectacular fallout of this bromance?
You know, if you go back to Trump's first term, and even in the second term, the number of people in the inner circle is very volatile. People come, people go. You know, think about Walsh, he's out. I mean, it's kind of like it's a rotation. You get too close to the sun, your wings melt, you fall out, but it's not the end of the free world as we know it.
Exactly. I often tell you about my old boss, the billionaire, the guy who wanted to buy the Panthers and was co-owner of the Florida Panthers at one point, Dolphins and Panthers. And so you may say to yourself, well, Barry, why don't you still work with him? He just described it. You get too close to the sun, and even though we were very close and still close to this day, I can pick up the phone and he calls me sometimes, but you get too close to the sun and those kind of people just go, you know what? Be gone. What do you mean? You piss me off. You're done. Okay. If you've never been at that level, you don't know. I'm telling you. Imagine getting in an argument with people at your job. Everybody, yeah, he's a dick, or whatever. But if you're at this level with people who have what's called FU money, they make decisions like that. You piss them off and it's like, go. It literally is like being in a king's court. Off with their heads. Done. Bring somebody else in. But just like that. And that's why if you're noticing, if you're paying attention, people like Kevin O'Leary and people in big business sitting back, this is everyday occurrence. There is nothing new about this. When you're at that level, and we're talking gazillions and gazillions, and you've done everything you wanted to do. You've done everything you wanted to do. Do you know how many people President Trump is fired? He made a television show about it. You're fired. And it became a joke. When in reality, it was his real life. Go back and watch some of those episodes of The Apprentice. You're fired. They just didn't come up with that. People around him were saying, hey, what would be a good thing to do? What does he do? You're fired. Get out. Bring me somebody else. Bring me new meat. So what you're seeing is something that plays out in boardrooms all the time. And Kevin, he's very calm about it because he's probably done it himself. Yeah. Fire people on a whim. I don't like how you looked at me. Get out of here.
These two men will get back together again. I know it's salacious. It's a really interesting story. But at the end of the day, they both have attributes that the other wants. And so you think about Tesla. We've talked about the stocks declined 14+%. I'm a Tesla shareholder. I've seen this movie multiple times. It's one of the most volatile tech stocks in the world. And it's driven by, many different things. But Elon Musk is rather unique. So you think about, do I want to stay long on this stock? This is another time when it's had a huge, big vol on a day. So yes, robotics coming out of Tesla, autonomous driving coming out of Tesla, low-cost EVs. Yeah, I want to keep long on this. And so it's like a Tylenol story. You have a really bad day. Remember Tylenol decades ago? People said it would never be around again. It's 10 times the size. Elon's story he's a unique individual, and Trump is a unique individual. Obviously, they both have huge egos. They had a
bingo. These two guys are at the pinnacle of success, and they don't take crap from anybody. And the decision can be made just like that. So what you guys are looking at, and many people in the media and on X, is like, oh, he called me a really bad name. And I've heard this, there's no coming back from saying something like that. What? What do you mean there's no coming back? Of course there's coming back from it. If I need you, if there's a mutual need, if there's something that we can do together, you called me a pedo. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not a pedo. And you said this, I needed Adderall. Okay, I said that before. See, a lot of people have never been in those kind of meetings. And Kevin's like, he's being calm, blowing up. It happens all the time. This one happened in public, but it happens all the time. So when people are out there, and I'm telling you, when they're saying stuff like, they can never come back after that. I don't care. We'll do some, it's funny. I saw this comment, and David Pershing says, wow, money really distorts people. It's not so much the money. See, that's where people look at this. It's the power. Power distorts people. At some point, Elon, maybe if this is real, decided he could challenge President Trump. It's the power. It wasn't that money. The two of them got all the money they need, so it's not money. So what could it be? It's power. Hey, listen, I want it this way. No, you can't have it that way. You ever tell a billionaire no? That's a simple question many people in the chat can answer. Have you ever told a billionaire no? No, you can't have it. What do you mean I can't have it? How many times you guys have heard this line? Do you know who I am? Oh God, I can't even remember when I was bouncing back in college. How many times do you know who I am? No, you're the guy I'm about to throw out of here, but that's about that. So it's not so much about the money, it's power. You don't say no to me. Do you know who I am? Do you know what I can do? You know what I have done? And you're telling me, no, I can't have my way? To everybody else on the outside, it sounds like petulant children fighting. But unless you've been in a position where you can tell a billionaire no, you're going to find out his response like that. And so I'm telling you, it happens all the time where you can be replaced no matter who you are if I've got a bigger hammer. And right now, President Trump has got a much bigger hammer. You're a civilian. I'm sorry. You said no. See, Zelensky saying no or Putin saying no, those are leaders of other countries. Dude, you're a rocket man. You don't have this hammer. Bam. And Elon found out. And it pissed him off. We're led to believe.
Bad date. You know, people, it's like a marriage, and they're having a fight. They're having a tiff. I'm over it already. I think this is noise, frankly. I don't think it really matters long term. They can call each other on their cell phones and work it out, and they will.
Abby.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. People are mired down in this stuff. Ignore it. It doesn't matter. Literally, Monday, they could both come out and go, okay, so we're going to do this. And people are like, well, didn't he just call you all these names? And and you're wondering, how'd they fix it? And they're like, okay, how you doing? Yeah, we're going to do it. Yeah, we're going to do it. Like that. These people make decisions on a drop of a flippin' hat. When you're a power broker of that nature, it can happen so quick, and nobody looks at what happened before. I don't know how else to convey that to you.
Is that a bag for you to breathe into?
No, this is what...
Okay.
I'll be pouring this in my Newsnight mug tonight.
Oh, Lord.
Pepto-Bismol is what we all need here in the Republican Party.
I thought it was some Jack Daniels.
They might need that, too.
I'm just, first of all, I just want to... I know that we have our differences here sometimes, but if you could give me a little dispensation for the next hour and not beat me to death. Look, here's the deal. The goals.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to defend either of these men. You could just tell us.
And here's the problem.
What you think
here's
really ought to happen.
Here's the problem. They both have a point. Trump's agenda is in the bill, and he wants to pass it. That's his point. Musk is not wrong about the national debt, and he deeply cares about this, and that's his point. So their goals are not mutually exclusive, which is, I think, the rub. And for all these Republicans out here who, like me, have really enjoyed this coalition, this partnership. I mean, I firmly believe that the relationship and the partnership they formed last year saved America and put us on a path to saving Western civilization. And now this puts that in jeopardy. And so it's not just about the daily policy quibbles. It's about the larger cultural things are at play. So I'm going to have some of this tonight. And hope for better days and better skies tomorrow, because I still love them both, and I hate it when mom and dad are
fighting.
Go
ahead and take a sip, Bakari. I mean, Elon Musk is calling in his...
Even Scott Jennings, he's laughing about it. He's laughing because mom and dad are fighting. How many times when you came home from high school and mom's like flying a pan across the room and you're like, I'm out. y'all work this out. And then you come back in and mom and dad are sitting there watching television. You're like, did she just throw a frying pan at you? Yeah, it doesn't concern you. Oh. And you look at these two people like, y'all crazy. I was in here and I saw the frying pan heading towards your head and you ducking. And now I come out of my room to get something to eat, and the two of you are sitting here watching TV together. What in the hell's going on here? Doesn't concern you. The parents were fighting. And what's most important, what Scott Jennings just said, is very hard for people to realize they're both right. Even Congressman Fine said it. They're both right. You need to cut some more of this. I need to get this done first. They're both right. And so if you're sitting back trying to pick a side, understand that everything, not talking about his insults, but with the stuff he's fighting for, he's right. The stuff that Trump wants to get done, he's right. Which makes it more volatile because both parties at this point want what you want, and they're mad because they can't get it done. But they can't get it done because Elon didn't understand the process. But what he wants to see happen actually makes sense, and it's for the better of the country. We got to reduce our debt faster. Nobody can disagree with that. See, everyone's focused on the after effect. Hey, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're the other thing. Go all the way back. What's Elon pissed at? I want more stuff cut. We got to get this cut. Elon, we can't do it that way. You just can't. Why can't we do it that way? Because I got to follow this. No, just do it. You can't tell these kind of people no. And then when you finally told them no and get out of my office, then everything else starts. But don't you think when it comes time to actually do some of the stuff that Elon wants done, that they're going to talk and say, okay, here's what we're going to do? Of course it is. Of course it's coming.
Tonight, the president's focus and the focus of the entire White House remains on passing the One Big Beautiful Bill. And as your audience just saw on Friday, just days ago, the president graciously hosted Elon Musk in the Oval Office, and Elon thanked the president for his incredible leadership to cut waste, fraud, and abuse in our government, which this One Big Beautiful Bill does. So the only difference between Friday and today is Elon went back to his companies, and as a businessman, he has a right to speak for his companies. But as president, President Trump has a responsibility to fight for this country. And the One Big Beautiful Bill is the most historic piece of legislation that has moved through Capitol Hill in modern day history.
Yes, exactly. Somebody wrote in a comment, and the reason, okay, you're exactly right, Frank. How long are we going to talk about this? Enough is enough. You finally got it. Everybody finally, well, not everybody, but yes, it's done. It's over. Doesn't matter. Move on. And that's where I'm going to move into, I won't say second half of the show because I'm not going to go for another hour and a half, but now it's time to focus on what actually matters. Are we done? Can we not bring up these guys in their fight anymore? At least I'm not going to. I find it ridiculous because so much good is happening. Life is prosperous. Life is fun. There's nothing else that I want for you than to enjoy your life. And understand that there's snakes on both sides. I want to show you a couple things as we move to the next topic. Other people begin seeing this. Ready? Can we all agree that Elon Musk is not our enemy? I don't know. Some people won't be able to agree with that, but I can. He's not my enemy. Donald Trump is not our enemy. Of course not. Our uniparty money laundering U.S. Congress is the enemy. Constitutional amendment to terminate all members of Congress if the budget isn't balanced. It really is that simple. Yeah. All right, let's take everything and focus away from these two and their arguments. You just watched a very public spat between a husband and a wife, a mom and a dad, and we don't need to focus on that. We need to focus on what really matters. Now, I can't determine for you what really matters in your life. That's where the problem is. The problem is that you can only determine what's most important in your life. But I'm showing
according to our estimates, you're going to see a 13,000.
The reason why I'm showing you some of this stuff, let me go here, back to this, is because Other people are now seeing it. Our nation is stronger when Donald and Elon are working together. I'm on the side of America. Bingo. These are people who are putting out positive messaging and say, hey, let it go. Understand, they'll work it out because we need them both. I'm not going to sit here and say we don't need Elon Musk, and I'm definitely not going to say we don't need Donald Trump. Scott Pressler, I'm thankful for both the contributions of President Trump and Elon Musk. We need to stay united as a family. Boom. That's what matters. That's what matters. We need to stay united. We cannot let these Democrats do what they want to do. Remember this. Trump is the reason some of you don't sit in a prison right now for being a danger to democracy. And Elon Musk is the reason you have free speech on X and other platforms that he's been, influencing. Bread and butter. This is so important for you to understand. Musk is the reason you have free speech on X, not Trump. This is bread and butter issue we're talking about here. We need these two guys to work it out, and we should be encouraging them to work it out no matter what. Let me see what else I got for you. I am not going to trash Elon Musk because he put his entire business on the line, his wealth, his time. He purchased X and changed the political landscape. This is from Insurrection Barbie. I'm not going to trash President Trump. He has gone through hell and back for America. He has been sued. They tried to bankrupt him and even kill him. No one would have been able to endure what he did, and he didn't need to do any of it. Instead, I will focus my time and energy dragging Democrats because I know for sure they hate America. Perspective. Boom. Yes, make the turn, as the gentleman said. Stop worrying about this stuff. Move forward. And then this is something that really bothers me. I expect more from people. Like, for instance, Mark Levin. I can't stand it anymore with these people. More infighting. Seriously, put your effing keyboard in the closet and call the man. And, Mark Levin and now Tucker. Why do people feel the need to let everybody else know their problems, their aggressions? You disrespected me. You lost all credibility. Well, pick up the phone and call him. Or not. But why does Mark Levin, a successful man in his own right, feel it's necessary to call out Tucker Carlson on X? You're both on the same side. We're both on the right. Why are we doing all this self-inflicted BS? It's like infectious. It's like, oh, I saw Trump and Elon do it. Maybe we can do it. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys today. It doesn't matter. You got to stay united. You got to break the huddle and run the same play. It doesn't matter what you think about Elon. Don't give the enemy any oxygen. I'm trying to tie it all the way back around for you. I'm like, just be done with this entire crap. Don't worry about what Elon said. Don't worry about what Trump said about him. Worry about the stuff that matters. Nothing else matters. Somebody said that's a good song. Yeah, it's a good song. If I was doing a nighttime show, I would play that song right now. Nothing else matters. And then this dust up, cat turd. Elon Musk unsubscribed me and unfollowed me. Alex Jones says he's not in my Trump cult. Many large influencers account desperately tried to stay neutral today. I've never changed in years, blah, 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 blah. And Alex is like, you're publicly telling verified lies. I've never called Trump a pedo. I think you have a mental breakdown. It's okay. Again, what is all this stuff? Why are you calling out other people? Let go, man. I hate the infighting. That's probably the number one thing I hate about people on the right. Stop airing dirty laundry about other people for clicks, likes, and retweets. You got a problem? Pick up the phone and call them. On every single person, just so you know. Some people enable it and some people don't. But I want to show you something. see if I can do it. Most people have a contact box or DM or something. Talk to them. And now everybody's out there taking swings at everybody. That's not winning. I'm sorry, that's not winning. There's no team in existence that can win titles with other people going, you're a piece of crap. Yeah. Meanwhile, the other team's like, let these people just keep fighting. Let them just keep fighting. All right, so can we be done with Elon and Trump? Or you guys, well, I'm done with Elon and Trump in terms of this bickering. It no longer matters to me. So if you want more of that, be mired in that stuff, this is my official. I'm done with it. I want to deal with stuff that actually matters, and this matters.
For one, according to our estimates, you're going to see a $13,000 average increase in take-home pay for the typical family. $13,000 through both the combination of economic growth that this bill will unleash, as well as the historic tax cuts that will be unleashed. Again, you're talking about not only making the Trump tax cuts permanent, but the largest package of working class, middle class tax relief that has ever been proposed. You combine that with unleashing American energy, getting rid of wasteful regulations, and then also, very importantly, getting the illegal aliens out of the country who are driving down wages for working people. This is the most working class bill that has ever been proposed. I've been in what people call the conservative movement for my entire life, since I was a child, since I was in high school. I never dreamed that we could have a bill as conservative, as transformative, as pro-American as this legislation is. This is the most populist pro-American bill. This is the MAGA agenda in legislative form.
And do you know, has the president had his phone call yet? Are they coming back together?
Well, I think the president made some comments to the press this morning that, he's not looking to have a...
So Glenn Beck is talking to Russ Vought, V-O-U-G-H-T, Russ right now, who is the Office of Management and Budget, and who's putting through all the, basically packaging the big, beautiful bill.
Phone call anytime soon, but I think he expressed disappointment yesterday with regard to some of the comments made by Elon. But look, Glenn, we're moving forward, and Elon's been an important ally and patriot throughout all of this, and we've got a job to do, and I think that's where we're most focused right now, is making sure we can get the word out on this bill, get it across the finish line, make improvements where we can, but get this thing home for the American people.
You see, one of the reasons why porn is such a problem is because it's titillating. It makes people look. It's the same thing with car accidents. What's the term? Rubbernecking. You're driving, you see and you want to see what happened at the accident over there because it draws your eyes to it. It's titillating. People can't help themselves because they're looking at stuff that stimulates them and creates dopamine. Maybe people need to train themselves as to other ways of getting dopamine. Me personally, I get dopamine when I talk to my daughter, my wife. I even get dopamine hugging my dogs. I got dopamine coming out of my ears knowing that my grandson's coming down next week. I get dopamine when we go to dinner tonight. I don't get any dopamine hearing Elon and Trump scream at each other or post nasty things. I'm focused right ahead. And you know what I get dopamine? A lot of people don't. They get mad at me when I look at dopamine. I get dopamine when we start looking at the stock market and what's going on with the economy and everything else. And when I can go in here, oh no. I'm sorry, I just saw a ticker. I've got to bring it to you. We got some breaking news. Oh no.
Breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
I mean, talk about take the wind out of your sails. Can y'all see this? Yeah. Oh no, I just happened to just click on it. Talk about something that... All right. Maryland man is returning to the United States to face charges after, quote, mistaken deportation to El Salvador. Maryland resident Kilmar Abrego Garcia was being returned to the United States to face criminal charges Friday after he was mistakenly deported to a prison in his native El Salvador. Garcia has been indicted in federal court in Tennessee on a charge related to transporting undocumented migrants within the United States. The government disappeared Kilmar, blah, 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 and they're bringing the Maryland man back. All right, so I reported it. I did my job. I brought you the news, and I'm going back to what I'm focusing on because I don't care. You shouldn't care. It doesn't affect your life whatsoever. Focus on what matters. That kind of stuff is just, oh, God, are you kidding me? After all that, the Democrats get a win? Whatever. But anyway, he's coming back to go to jail. It'll be interesting to see how long he's in jail, whether or not the Democrats get him released. And then they have a perp walk. He's like, yeah, I'm free. Yeah. See, that's all the more reason to focus on good stuff. You gotta focus on good stuff, man. This is crazy. Oh, absolutely crazy. But okay, so I brought it to you. Can I move back on? Because I'm done. I'm done with these people. Politics will just drive you absolutely up a wall. I want to have fun. I got a weekend coming up. I want you to have a great weekend. And part of that great weekend is do yourself a favor. If you have not ordered one yet, I urge you to try, and we're not done yet, by the way, don't go. Go ahead and get the Trump red knife. As I've shown you many a times, this knife, I'm not going to do that thing, but it's a good weighted knife. Very, very sharp, very sharp. Be careful holding this knife. It's a Trump red knife. It normally retails for $70. You can get it for free. Patriot Addict is they are giving it away to the Fanfare family for free. You can get this. All you have to do is pay shipping. Shipping, I believe, is $13 or $14. They've been really pushing this. I love it. I love that people like it. So we're going to just keep pushing it. They have a limited supply, so make sure if you like this red knife that you go ahead and get yours as well. It's got the window breaker here. It's got a seat belt slicer right there, so you can actually, if you get stuck or something, slice the seat belt. All you've got to do is go to the QR code right over there, or if you can't use the QR code, go to barryknife.com. barryknife.com, and then just enter your 100% coupon to get it for free, except for shipping. That's all you have to pay is the shipping charge, and you can have the red knife. That's it. So go ahead and get that for your family. Wait a minute, I can indeed, because I'm not backed up. Let me just show you this real quick.
Fanfare family, I'm B. Michael Nace, one of the members of Barry Cunningham's channel. One of the things Barry advertises on his channel is the Trump knife. But Barry doesn't really get so much justice because Barry apparently is not the knife guy that I am. I've got thousands of knives around my house. But this knife is really awesome. Go and check this out. This is a power-assisted folding knife with a liner lock. A glass breaker at the tip, the liner lock in the middle, so it won't close on you until you push the liner lock in the middle. Push it and it will fold. This knife is actually quite awesome. And I'm a knife collector. I've been collecting knives for 30 years. This is an amazing knife. And you can get it, barryknife.com. Barry Cunningham, he can tell you how to get it. I want you to push it to his channel, fanfare.com. This knife is amazing. It's sharp, it's heavy duty. As a matter of fact, it's almost too heavy to carry in the pocket. You'd have to put it on your belt or whatever, but it's a heavy duty knife and it's really nice. So Barry, to you, one of your family members, D. Michael Nace from Fanfare, amazing knife.
It took me forever to learn how to do that clippy thing, but he does it so well. Yeah, I'm still like a novice at it, but it works very, very well. All right, so who says it? Sean Hannity. Let not your heart be troubled is what he always says biblically. That whole thing with the Maryland man coming back, it is what it is. So let's close this show with some really good news. News that actually matters. Matters to you, your family, and everything else.
Well, if you look at the statistics that have come out over the last 3 weeks or so, Maria, this is a blockbuster economy we're seeing. You talked the other day about the fact that 4.5% GDP for the second quarter, low inflation. This is telling us right now the jobs are out there for people who want them.
Wait a second. That's a problem. The jobs are out there for people who want them. Get your lazy, snack-eating ass off the couch and get a job. Participate in this economy. The Democrats don't want any part of that. They think everybody should get whatever and then never have to work for anything. No, the jobs are out there if you want to work. I don't have a problem with President Trump forcing people to work. You want some handouts? No, you get a hand up. We'll help you up so we can get you on the bus and take you to work. This is the kind of stuff, I don't know, maybe I'm weird. Maybe I'm someone that you guys find, you're always talking about the economy and the money and business, and I'm like, because that's what really matters. I have my God and I say I have my family, but man, this is the stuff that impacts me on a daily basis. Elon fighting doesn't affect me on a daily basis. This kind of stuff, the unemployment rate, making sure people are working, they're putting back into the economy, it's helping everything all the way around. This is the stuff that matters. That's why I get excited about it. Really excited about it.
If we look at the earnings from a month-over-month perspective, it comes in up 0.4, much better than expected. We were looking for up 0.3 in the rearview mirror. At least up to this point, I don't see revisions. Up 0.4. That would equal January of this year, which was the best read. To find a higher read, you're back in August of last year. Now, let's look at average hourly earnings on a year-over-year basis. Hotter than expected, 3.9. That's a couple of tenths better we're looking for. 1/10 higher than the 3.8 in the rearview mirror. That equals the first 2 months of the year, which were the highest. To find a higher number, you're going to Dece of last year when it was 4%.
Okay, he talks fast. He talks very fast. But he's got so much energy because it's all good news. I want to make sure we can amplify as much good news as possible. You know what's weird? When you're watching the news, or you're on X, see how many posts and stories and influencers are talking about the good news. Not the good news, but good news like that affects your actual life. Directly, on a daily basis, things are getting better. Payroll, income, jobs, unemployment, it's all helping your life. And I know not enough people talk about it. I know the other stuff, if it bleeds, it leads, it's sexy. They want to make sure you're rubbernecking and you're seeing, but this is the stuff that matters. And if it doesn't matter to you, you have to wonder why. I get excited about this. I get little pricklies on my arm because I'm like, man, this is some awesome stuff.
The other positive thing about this report, which is very much a reversal from the Biden years, is we got a good jump up in wages. Workers want to be well paid. One of the ways of getting workers back into the workforce is to increase their wages and salaries. So according to this report, the wages and salaries are growing by about 5% annually. And think about that. We're at inflation at about 2%. So what that's telling you is real wages, real take-home pay for workers is increasing. And as we talked about for 4 years on this show, under Biden, it was falling. So that's a very, very positive thing for the American family and the American worker.
Very positive thing for the American family and the American worker. Makes me smile. Should make you smile. It's positive. On a Friday afternoon as we're getting ready to break, positive stuff. I'm not worried about the Maryland man. I understand something, by the way. They're bringing him back to go to jail, and then he's going back to El Salvador. So whatever. But in any event, this is the stuff that makes sense to me. I hope it makes sense to you.
But this bill has historic levels of mandatory savings. Historic. We've never seen anything like the level of $1.7 trillion in mandatory savers. It's why the bill over 10 years actually reduces debt and deficits. It's not a rounding error when you have historic levels. When you look back, the last time we were even in the conversation of savings like this was 1990s. Can the bill be improved? Sure. We're very happy with what passed out of the House. We're having great conversations in the Senate and continuing with House members to make improvements to the bill. But this bill, in addition to accomplishing vast amounts of the president's agenda, and that's really what this is. It is an agenda bill. It is not a budget bill. It is a device to get through the Senate without the Senate filibuster and to put as much as you possibly can into it. And any one of these provisions in any other year would have been the subject for 6 to 8 months of debate. This bill puts them all together, helping the American people on so many different fronts that the president was promised to them on the campaign. And in addition, it reduces debt and deficits over 10 years by $1.4 trillion.
$1.4 trillion debt reduction. Elon didn't think it was fast enough, but nonetheless, it's getting us there. All right, so yeah, somebody goes, another brain dead CNN anchor. They just stare at the screen because it's so far above their head. They don't have any clue what's going on. Let's see here. They're bringing him back to give it. You guys are all talking about this guy here. Just trying. I wasn't going to show. I wanted to end it with that. But here, let me go ahead and show this to you because some people want to see it before we break. I don't really care about it, but I'll play it anyway. All right, let's see what Miss Bondi had to say here.
Abrego Garcia has landed in the United States to face justice. On May 21st, a grand jury in the Middle District of Tennessee returned a sealed indictment charging Abrego Garcia with alien smuggling and conspiracy to commit alien smuggling in violation of Title 8 U.S.C. 1324. We want to thank President Bukele for agreeing to return Abrego Garcia to the United States. Our government presented El Salvador with an arrest warrant, and they agreed to return him to our country. We're grateful to President Bukele for agreeing to return him to our country to face these very serious charges. This is what American justice looks like. Upon completion of his sentence, we anticipate he will be returned to his home country of El Salvador. The grand jury found that over the past 9 years, Abrego Garcia has played a significant role in an alien smuggling ring. They found this was his full-time job, not a contractor. He was a smuggler of humans and children and women. He made over 100 trips, the grand jury found, smuggling people throughout our country. MS-13 members, violent gang terrorist organization members throughout our country.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. The only reason I'm laughing because otherwise I'd probably start crying. This is a comedy of errors at this point. Like I said, maybe that's the reason why I focus on the stuff that actually matters, because the other stuff you have no control over. We can all get pissed off that the Maryland man is back here and that he's in jail for now and see what the Democrats do. And maybe this is why I think, it's Friday afternoon, it's 4:15. We're all going to break for the weekend. We're going to have a great time. Hopefully you guys have a great time wherever you are. And I hope none of you even think about the Maryland man or Elon Musk, at least until Monday. Enjoy your families. Enjoy your life. Get out there in the sun wherever you are. Hopefully the weather's good. And so over the weekend, I'm probably gonna do some cut videos, and I may do what I'm now deeming to be live raw videos, meaning I'll be out someplace because I'm gonna have a bunch of time as my grandson is at football camp, and I may just go live on the phone. I won't be able to comment much, but I can talk, and I'm gonna call those live raw videos, and we'll just talk about some things. Because I also have my little stick here, so I can actually use my tripod and actually make some different videos. As long as I've got the bandwidth, we should be good. I'm not traveling with a Starlink or anything, but we should oops, drop that. But either way, we should be good. So I will see you tomorrow again, about 3 o'clock tomorrow, and then in between I'll drop some other videos. Next week is going to be kind of weird because he's here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Not going to have a regular show unless I do it early in the morning or late at night, so I'll let you guys know what that's going to be like. But I'm just gonna go to dinner with my wife tonight. We're going to enjoy life, and I urge you to do the same because that's not a bad thing to say. It's not a bad thing to say, I wish you happiness. I wish you joy. I want you guys to all go out and just go for the gusto, whatever that means for you, instead of being mired down into BS. You know why? Because life's too short. Life is way too short. All right, so let me look at this stuff. Tune in, drop out. From Elon's perspective, BBB stands for Budget Busting Boondoggle. Good point. Demon of Cybertron, watching Benny Johnson today was in peril. Fearful, just content for me. I don't know what that means. I didn't see it. I think he changed his time. He used to go at 11 o'clock. Now he goes at 10 o'clock, I think. Tilly, Bear, if you were a counselor, I'd be making an appointment. You are so kind and comforting. That's what I'm trying to convey to you. Trust me, there are enough purveyors of BS out there. There are so many people who want to bring you down into the bull crap. And again, remember what I told you. People who are talking crap about Elon and they're actually saying crappy stuff are posting it on his platform and getting paid by him. That should never, as you're watching something like, hey, you're talking crap about Elon and but you're getting paid by him, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That takes some balls. Tilly, yes, thank you very much. I say hi to everybody. Shane, I love it that you use, I don't want to use cuss word. I only used one. I used the S word and the BS word. Thanks, Barry, for all you do to inform America. Frank, Barry asked him, who do we owe the debit to and what rate to CBO office, who runs it, and why don't they score the bill correctly? Nobody answers that to me. I've tried to ask that a number of times to Congress people. Who do we owe the money to? You got a promissory note? Love to know. Wallace Hagel, we really need to put good people in Congress, vote out all these people that hate America. We really need people to pay attention to who is running for Congress. Indeed. Wallace again, Bongino was right. If you live in a blue city, move out. If you can. Lady Trucker, Barry, thank you for your common sense thinking. I like both men. They have done so much great work for America. People need to just grow up and leave these two alphas to their own alley fight. Yes. Have you ever seen like alpha fights? Like I said, silverbacks, or have you been in a zoo and watched two lions fight or two elephants, or down here in the alligator when we watch, in the Everglades and we watch two alligator fights? They're crazy furious. But one ends up getting his way. Do your own research. Yes, the whole Trump and Elon thing is a trap for the Democrats, and we're falling for our own trap, guys. Get smarter. Mr. Mike, haven't seen you in a while. There a while ago you mentioned The Enemy Within. How do I stream or watch that? I'm going to download it, and I think what we're going to do is, I think Monday we'll watch. Okay, here's what I'm planning for next. Let me just... If I can pull this off, what I'd like to do on Monday evening is do like a Mystery 3000 theater with you guys. And I want to show you, we'll start with the first episode of Person of Interest. So you guys who haven't seen it, maybe you'll get hooked on it and want to see the rest of it. Then Tuesday, I think we might, this will be late. If not, I'll have to push it to the following week after the grandson's done. We'll do John Manchaku's movie. And then the following day, I'd like to look at doing The Enemy Within. Yep, Kilmar Garbrell, Maryland man, he's here. What's this? Jerry King. I was an analyst in the Army, and I took look at things in a different way. Common sense is first and foremost. And look, I'm looking at everything going on right now. God bless you too, Jerry. Sherry Clean. Just an interesting, maybe symbolic bit I picked up on is that Elon wore dark MAGA during rallies from the start, and DJT has become king or pope of trolling. Also, look at Elon's profile picture. How Granny sees it. Super obvious question I've never heard asked or answered. How did Elon get the black guy? He said that little X popped him in the head. That was his answer. Viking King, this is exactly like being in a recording studio. The fights I've seen and been in the middle of are insane, but we have our beers and continue the tour. Exactly. Again, alpha males and sometimes alpha females. Oh, don't step in between them. Brian Newland, the bubble-headed beach blonde comes on at 5. She can tell you about the plane crash with a gleam in her eye. Don Henley at his finest. I think it's Don Henley. Let's see, this one is from Naomi McCormick. Nothing surprises me anymore. Do I cry or laugh? And born on the 4th, the only reason the Morons are bringing back the Maryland man is to set a precedent, but it won't fly. More like him in large numbers will tax the court system. Judges won't go for that. Yeah, I agree right there. That is some heavy stuff. Right. So you guys have a great Friday night. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Again, I'm going out to dinner with the wife. I may do like a live impromptu video, just testing things later on. But don't worry. 2 reasons. God's got this. And 2, enjoy your life. President Trump actually told us that. Enjoy life. Talk to you guys tomorrow.